Last week, Xbox drops the most significant restructuring in its history. Thousands of jobs gone and studios out the door. Nintendo starts saying goodbye to the original Switch. Palworld finally hits 1.0 and Dracula becomes King of England. A lot to get to. This is Itty Bitty Gaming News. Let's get it. We start with the big one. On July 6th, Microsoft announced the most significant restructuring in Xbox history, and it's brutal. Xbox is cutting around 3,200 jobs, roughly 20% of the entire division, with about 1,600 of those happening immediately and the rest over the next year. That's part of a wider round of about 4,800 cuts across all of Microsoft. New Xbox chief Asha Sharma didn't sugarcoat it, telling staff bluntly, quote, "Our business today is not healthy and that the company has to reset Xbox from the ground up." But the layoffs are only half the story. 4 studios are leaving Xbox entirely. Double Fine, the studio behind Psychonauts, and Compulsion Games are being spun out as independent studios, and crucially, they get to keep their IP in their back catalogs. Meanwhile, Ninja Theory, the team behind Senua's Saga, and Undead Labs, the State of Decay studio, are being sold off to new, undisclosed owners, with funding arranged so they can finish their current games. And there's a possible fifth. Arcane's Lion Studio is now in a legally required consultation process in France, and its future is up in the air, along with ID Software and other folks being cut as well. Here's the context that makes this sting though. This is happening almost 3 years after Microsoft spent $68.7 billion buying Activision Blizzard to become the biggest publisher in gaming. And it's the 5th major round of layoffs at Xbox since that deal closed. Sharma admitted the company loses money on many of these studios and said that owning every great independent studio simply isn't realistic or even desirable. Microsoft insists no announced games are being canceled and that it's redirecting money towards its biggest earners like Minecraft and Elder Scrolls. But make no mistake, this is Microsoft quietly conceding that its buy everything strategy did not pay off the way it hoped. Palworld, yes, the Pokemon with guns game everyone was talking about, has officially left early access. Version 1.0 launched July 10th, more than 2 years after the game first blew up, and developer Pocket Pair is calling it the biggest update in the game's history. It adds a ton: the long-locked world tree, endgame zone, new pals, new areas, story content, and a new item that frees up your party slots for flight. But the headline might be the price. Even though games almost always get more expensive when they leave early access, Pocket Pair announced it's keeping Palworld at $29.99, no price hike at all, calling it a small way to say thank you to the community. And that community is absolutely massive. The game has now passed 40 million players. If you already own it, 1.0 is a free update and is on Game Pass day 1. Not a bad way to reward the people who stuck around. If you play Marvel Rivals, Season 9 just dropped. It's called The Mystery of Thebes. It went live July 10th, and the headline edition is a fan favorite. Jubilee from the X-Men. Interestingly, instead of making her a damage dealer, NetEase made Jubilee a strategist, a support who uses her signature energy fireworks to both heal teammates and blow up enemies. In her own words, "I'm called Jubilee. I blow stuff up." The whole season leans into an Egyptian apocalypse-themed storyline with a new Thebes map on the way. But Jubilee isn't the only shakeup. Black Widow got a major rework that turns her into an aggressive, flanking duelist, and the entire team-up system got overhauled. So if you had the meta figured out, some of that knowledge just expired, and there's more on the horizon. The villain known as the Hood arrives in the mid-season update around August. Next, some bittersweet Nintendo news, the beginning of the end for the original Switch. Nintendo has confirmed it will stop selling the original Switch, the Switch Lite, and the Switch OLED to retailers in Europe starting in mid-February 2027, almost exactly 10 years after the console launched, back in March 2017. Now, before Switch fans panic, Nintendo clarified this is a Europe-only move for now, and the console will keep selling in other regions. So why Europe specifically? It comes down to a new European Union regulation requiring that batteries and devices like this be user replaceable, and rather than redesign a nearly decade-old console to comply, Nintendo is simply pulling it from the EU market. But here's the flip side of that exact same regulation. Nintendo is releasing a brand new revised Switch 2 this year to meet those rules. Launching in Europe this fall, the new model swaps in a user replaceable battery, and its Joy-Con 2 controllers get replaceable batteries too. The trade-offs are tiny. The battery holds about 1% less charge, and the console is roughly 10 grams heavier. There's also a revised Pro controller coming this winter with a smaller, lighter battery and updated retro controllers in early 2027. For now, all of this is Europe only, but is very likely a preview of where the rest of the world eventually heads. Over on Roblox, some meaningful changes to how you report bad behavior. Roblox is rolling out a major overhaul of its in-game reporting tools, and the goal is to make the whole thing simpler and far more transparent. The new reporting flow adapts its questions based on what you're actually reporting, whether that's a player, a game, or voice and text chat, so you're not stuck just guessing which rule got broken. Behind the scenes, reports now go straight to the right moderation team instead of one giant pile, which should speed up how fast action gets taken. And for the first time, you'll actually get a notification when something happens as a result of your report, like the offending player getting suspended. Roblox has a dashboard to track your past reports is coming later this year. For a platform whose audience is mostly kids, faster and more transparent moderation is a genuinely big deal. And let's end on something delightfully weird. Bithell Games, the studio behind Thomas Was Alone and John Wick Hex, just revealed a new game called Vampirium 1997. The pitch is fantastic. It's an alternate history 1997 where Dracula is the king of England and you play an assassin carrying out his dirty work to protect his vampire empire. It's an immersive sim where you infiltrate living, breathing environments and take out targets however you want. Stealth, hypnotism, or just a silver katana and bad intentions. And every level gets more replayable, unlocking new tasks after your first run. It's headed to Steam Early Access on PC and Mac, though there's no release date yet, and honestly, it's a nice comeback story. Bithell Games had to lay off most of its team last year over funding trouble, so it's genuinely good to see them back swinging with something this fun. That was last week in gaming. If any of these deserve a deeper dive, like a full breakdown on where Xbox goes from here, tell me in the comments. If this was useful, drop a like and subscribe so you catch next week's wrap. I'm Smitty, and I'll see you next week. Take it easy.